Well, I've been planning my through hike of the Foothills Trail. I got the Hiking South Carolina's Foothills Trail Guide, Pocket Guide by Scott Lynch, which is a great guide because it breaks it down by each direction and it gives you suggestions for kind of what you might want to do each day. Um, and it breaks it down by like day one, the number of miles and everything as well. Um, and I was looking at this, and it wasn't quite exactly what I was looking for as far as mileages go. Um, the 5 day through hike averaged 15.3 miles per day, which sounds about cool because I like to do about 15, 16 miles a day. But it ends up with the last day doing 17.1 miles, which was just a lot for me to want to do on the last day. I like my last day to be pretty light, whereas this one has the first day pretty light. So that you have time for a shuttle and doing all that kind of stuff. But I plan to get to the trail by 8 a.m. So I should be out and going by about the same time I would be any morning. So I might just go ahead and do extra miles that first day as well, and then have less on the last day. So due to that, I had to do some math and some looking and all sorts of stuff to try to figure this out. I did find um, I could either do 12.1 miles on the last day or let's see here, 13.2. So it depends upon the campsite that I find. It looks like the there's a dry campsite, meaning one without water, that's about 12.1 miles away. And then there's an official campsite called Chimney Top that is at 13.2 miles away. So one of those two is where I'm going to stay the last night. Whichever one looks better, whichever one if I come across the one that is the 13.2 miles away and it doesn't look good, then I'll travel a little bit further to the dry campsite. Um, but yeah, I'm super excited. I've been watching lots of YouTube videos of people hiking this trail, through hiking the trail, in multiple days. I think I could do it in 5 days, no problem. Especially given my previous history with different trails and how much I can hike in a day, which is that 16 to 17 miles a day, 15 to 17. So I think 16 miles a day would work just fine for me. So I think that it's going to be a good plan. And this book is really super light and really thin, really small. So it's something that I can carry with me and have this with me. I found a chart online that listed out different campgrounds and how far away they are from the beginning and end. And so I wrote those down here, and that's where I found Chimney Top at 63 miles down the trail, with that 13.2 miles away from the end. Um, so it's been super helpful for me. Another thing that's been super helpful is that I know of a whole food plant based freeze dried meal company. And I've had several of their meals, the leaf side meals that I've tried and have reviewed on this channel. Um, so I have those that I could definitely bring with me for food for the trail, as well as something similar to my normal breakfast or lunch, and kind of going from there. So my normal breakfast includes oatmeal, so I could very easily bring oatmeal with me, dried oats, put some boiling water on them and, kind of rehydrate and eat them that way. And for my lunches, um, I typically eat like a Lara bar, some fruit, and some nuts. Um, Excuse me. I'm yawning a lot tonight. And that's a good lunch for me. And I don't necessarily have to have a warm or a hot lunch. And then I could bring a bunch of snacks, like extra nuts and dried fruits or freeze dried fruits or whatever, to kind of boost up those calories as I'm losing calories on the trail. I do know from experience that the first couple days I'm not that hungry, and it's a chore to force myself to eat. Um, I think the first meal I'm typically okay. That first lunch, but then after that it just kind of gets difficult. Um, and that's common. I'm not the only person that happens to. After a few days, the hunger comes back. I might pack a little bit lighter than I could, although I may just bring extra food anyway because I'm not that kind of person and I get a little paranoid about not having enough food and what happens and bringing an extra day's worth of food and stuff like that just in case. Um, so I may end up bringing extra food anyway, but it's good to know yourself and know kind of what your limitations are for the first couple days. But I'm super excited. I It looks like at this point in time I may be going by myself, which my mom isn't gonna love, but I think that it's hard to find someone that can take 5 days off work. Most of my friends work jobs where it doesn't slow down in the summer. Um, it doesn't really slow down that much for me in the summer as well, but I can easily take a week off and be okay. Um, Especially since it's towards the end of the month, and when I get back, that's when I can send out my reminders for the monthly stuff I need for my students. So it works out really well for me to take that last week of the month. So I'm planning the last week of May. So that'll be when it starts getting warmer, but it's not too warm. And it'll still be like cool at night and stuff like that. So I think that'll be a good time of year for me to go. Um, and it works out really well with my schedule so far. But yeah, so that's the update on the trip as it stands right now. I did find a person who runs a shuttle who lives in Asheville, which is perfect because he can give me a ride down there and give me a ride back home afterwards. So that way I don't have to worry about parking or, doing the shuttle thing and having that arranged. I can just ride down, ride back up, and be good. Now, my only concern about that is that at the end of a hike, you're not smelling the greatest. But I do know that I'm going to end at a state park, and there may be access to showers. In which case, I think I read online for a small fee, you can get access to the showers. Um, which would be perfect because then I could just change into like my sleeping clothes and be fine and kind of do that. So that might be my plan to kind of do that. So then that way I'm smelling a little bit fresher at the end and maybe not bothering this poor shuttle driver as much. But for a longer ride, um, it's about an hour or a little over an hour of a ride home. So yeah, but there's still a lot of time for me to think of this. It's only February 11th. Um, so I have a little over 3 months to kind of plan this and get this ready. But I'm super excited about it. I'm ready to go today. If it wasn't so cold, I would, because I could very easily have everything I need after Wednesday when I get my when I get more money, basically. So I'll be good to go. But and everything that I'm watching and reading, there's plenty of water on the trail, and that was my experience when I was on the trail in 2019. And I did what they call, ooh, what do they call that? The Crown Jewel, which is like the 30-mile section towards the middle of the trail. I did most of that back in 2019. I did have I did end up bailing. I had one really bad day. It was raining all day. I ended up with blisters on my feet. I ended up having a bad dinner experience because the food just didn't rehydrate the way it was supposed to, and the noodles were crunchy, and it was just soupy, and it was splashing everywhere because of the rain. My tent leaked. So I had a really bad day, really bad night, and I was just ready to be done. So what I did was I hiked back to what I thought was an access point. Turns out it wasn't. So I hiked to another access point, which was a 5 mile walk out. I didn't realize it was going to be another 5 miles. So by the time I backtracked and walked those extra 5 miles to get out, I hiked almost the amount of miles that I would have hiked if I would have continued on, and stayed one more night. And it didn't rain the next day. So, I mean, I would have been fine. I just got, wet and annoyed and irritated, and I was like, I'm done with this trail. Let's be done with it. I've learned a lot since then. I hiked the Georgia Loop, which was a 60-mile trail. um, there was rain. It was fine. I survived. It didn't rain quite as bad as it did on the Foothills Trail that first time. I don't think I've been rained on quite that badly. But I've been rained on since then, and I've been okay. My tent doesn't leak now. I have a new tent. And yeah, so I think things are different. I have a better mindset now. I'm feeling better about certain things. So I think that I would be able to handle it even if I did have some pretty gross rainy days while I was on the trail. Although that said, hopefully I don't end up with a bunch of gross rainy days, if any. It'd be awesome to have beautiful weather the whole time, but like as we all know, we can't control the weather. It controls itself basically and does what it wants to do. So there's not really much there that I'll be able to control. But I'm super excited, and I've rambled on long enough about this 13-minute video. But yeah, so I wanted to provide that update as to kind of where I'm at with planning, and what the process is looking like. All right, bye.